Is your gracious host, Dick Strider, and today we are playing Kyle is Famous.
Kyle woke up. He is famous.
I do not care.
Kyle is host of the most popular talk show in recent memory, Stay Up Late with Kyle. Stay Up Late with Kyle has grown in popularity quickly in the last year, and the public has noticed. Inside has called Kyle a most excellent dumpy white man. Top Tech noted that Kyle is inspiring youth to explore STEM fields. Most other talk shows are dedicated to discussing Kyle and his personal details. Most online videos are... The eye of the world is upon Kyle. Tonight is Kyle's most important guest interview yet. Stay Up Late with Kyle will be featuring Rachel May. She is a kind and lovely philanthropist. She is dear to the hearts of many. This interview requires preparation. Kyle cracked his eyes open, knowing today is his last chance to prepare for the interview.
And of course, as a gracious God, I will be helping Kyle.
Kyle has 30 hours left. He must choose his actions wisely.
I will wither away.
Kyle decided to stay put and wither away. Kyle withered successfully and died. Kyle is now a ghost. This does not relieve him of his responsibilities.
Game.
Kyle decided to take some time to choose the perfect outfit, knowing how important appearance is. Kyle miraculously crammed his dumpy body into the suit. The chest pockets were filled with random knickknacks.
Gavin.
Kyle quickly crouched down on the floor, realizing Kyle firmly pressed his ear. I heard Rachel May is going on a trip out of the country soon. Oh, girlfriend, tell me more. Well, what I will tell you is that every night... There was a stunned silence. Then...
That is enough. Move to kitchen. Check pantry.
Kyle wanted to access the pantry, but found it was locked with a small keyhole.
Kyle. Why is your cabinet locked?
Kyle opened the fridge, intending to find something to eat.
We will eat the crust.
Kyle started scraping streaks of crud and spots of mold off of the walls of his fridge. After wadding it into a crusty, moist ball, Kyle popped it into his mouth and began to chew.
Disgusting.
Several minutes of crunching later, Kyle finished and swallowed the ball whole. It felt sticky in his stomach.
Leave apartment. Is it tech floor? I will steal Techno
Quickly,
Gym.
before the attendant could acknowledge him, Kyle grabbed Techno Jim by the shoulders. Finding that Techno Jim's cardboard feet were bolted to the ground, Kyle started to heave upwards. After several tugs, Techno Jim broke free, leaving one foot and one leg behind. Kyle glanced at the attendant, who was staring, bewildered, and ran outside. Kyle hurried to the set. Per normal, he ceased to be a ghost before he arrived.
Of course.
Sitting across from his host chair was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. As Kyle approached her, Rachel looked up and smiled.
Hello, Rachel.
Good evening, Kyle, she said, looking him in the eyes. I've been looking forward to being here.
Do not interview Techno Jim.
Kyle responded.
Answer politely.
And I as well, Rachel, answered Kyle, extending his hand in greeting. You are a most welcome guest. After other mild exchanges of pleasantries, Kyle and Rachel were prompted to take their places for the broadcast. A moment after seating, the studio lights brightened and the cameras clicked on.
Start broadcast.
Good evening, everyone, said Kyle, looking at the camera. Welcome back to Stay Up Late with Kyle. Kyle vomited all of the horrible things he had eaten earlier onto the floor.
Shame.
Rachel looked at Kyle, concerned, gave a couple coughs, and decided to play it cool and keep the show running. Kyle stopped, then vomited again, then continued with a shaky voice. Tonight, I have the pleasure of interviewing the lovely Rachel May, who needs no more introduction. Kyle motioned to Rachel, who smiled and waved at the camera. Hello, Kyle, she said. I'm glad to be here. Well, I'm sure we'll have a lot to discuss. So we might as well dive right in, said Kyle. I'm very ready, said Rachel with a winning smile. In a shock, Kyle realized he had never bothered to prepare any notes for the interview.
Damn it.
Knowing he had the eyes of millions upon him, Kyle came up with a solution quickly.
Play dead.
Kyle slumped in his seat and played dead. Kyle, what are you up to? Asked Rachel, still smiling. Kyle did not respond and hoped nobody would ask questions. Kyle, why are you pretending to be dead? Asked Rachel. I can see you breathing. Kyle held his breath. The producer whispered to Rachel over her earpiece. Give a couple slaps across the face and see if he wakes up. Rachel got up from her chair, walked to Kyle, and slapped him firmly across the face. Rachel slapped Kyle continuously, trying to get him to stop play acting. Other members of the crew stepped into frame to start slapping Kyle as well. Soon, Kyle was lost in the amassment of people around him, all slapping his face with both hands.
But of course, we must have 10 million slaps in order to wake up Kyle.
The slapping went on for many hours. Kyle did not wake up. Eventually, Kyle did not need to pretend to be unconscious.
Oh, they killed him. I see. Reset. Now, let us exit the bed. To its death. Write notes for
Kyle
interview.
wrote down his first question. Kyle wrote down his second question. Kyle wrote down his third question. Kyle wrote down his last question. Kyle ripped his page of notes out of the notebook and got up from the desk.
Good. Now, what is in here? Sorted chain.
Kyle scooped.
Back to room. Open the closet. Choose an
Kyle
outfit.
decided to take some time to choose. Kyle miraculous.
Now, we are ready. I'll move to the kitchen.
Kyle opened the fridge, intending to find something to eat.
Prepare
Kyle
breakfast.
constructed a breakfast of poached eggs and toast, along with a small fruit cup and grilled sausage. Kyle ate his breakfast slowly and thoughtfully, enjoying every bite. He felt refreshed.
Good.
Kyle
Oh. Return to bedroom. Put it to desk. Pick in desk drawer. Get small key. Back to desk. Back to room. More.
Kyle hurried to the set.
Damn it.
Sitting across from his host chair was a glamorous... As Kyle approached... Good? Kyle responded. And I as well. After... A moment after... Good evening. To... Kyle... Well... I'm very ready, said Rachel. Kyle produced the notes he had taken earlier. Rachel, I and many others would love to know, are you a mother? Kyle looked up from his notes. Well, being a single woman with a career, she answered, that's not something that has crossed my mind. Rachel smiled genuinely at Kyle. Very reasonable indeed, said Kyle. He referenced his paper of questions. Kyle asked another question. Rachel, you managed to keep such a thin and healthy figure, said Kyle. What is your best diet tip? Well, a good diet starts with a plan, answered Rachel, and don't break it. Cheat days can turn into a habit.
Personally, I do not do the traditional diet myself. I don't believe in subtractive diet. I think the best way to fuck yourself over is by trying to remove something from your diet, as opposed to adding something. I am a big fan of additive diet, as in, what are you lacking? What do you need in your diet? Eat more of it. For example, when I was watching my diet, I got it into myself that I would eat as much green as possible. Now, this did not mean that I did not eat sugars or carbs or whatever when I wanted to. It meant that I put in effort to eat more green. And when you do that, I find that you find yourself eating sweet and carbs and stuff you don't need to eat as much of. You tend to eat those less when you're focusing on eating something more. So, but of course, the ideal diet is something that is different for everyone. For example, me, I need more, what is it called? I need more magnesium and I need more B12 in my diet than other people because those are vitamins that when you are traumatized or when you are stressed for your entire life, you will have you will go through certain vitamins quicker than the average person. And magnesium and B12, or I believe it's magnesium that you go through quicker. I believe I have a B12, a minor B12 deficiency due to having ADHD. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that magnesium and B12 completely fix my ADHD symptoms. But not being deficient in those vitamins does make it easier to deal with ADHD. It does blunt the symptoms somewhat. So, I strongly recommend if you are having issues to not only look into therapy and look into psychiatric medication, but also look at your diet and look at your lifestyle. For example, I, as a psychotic person, need to be sleeping earlier and getting up earlier because when I do not sleep properly, it increases stress. And when my stress is increased, it makes me more likely to have hallucinations. And especially with stress, I'm much more likely to have stressful hallucinations, which ends up going into a positive feedback loop. That is all for now.
But, she continued, that doesn't mean a midnight snack here and there isn't allowed. She smiled. Kyle looked at his flabby self, decided not to comment, and moved on. Kyle asked another question. We all have one. What's your guilty pleasure? Ooh, well, that's an easy answer, said Rachel, dipping pickles in chocolate sauce.
I will have to try that. It does not sound good, per se, but I cannot judge something that I have never tried.
It might sound strange, but it's tangy and sweet at the same time. I eat it far too often. Rachel smiled sweetly. Kyle asked another question. You've been involved in a lot of different things, said Kyle, but what's your funniest story? Well, that's a great question, Kyle, said Rachel. I think the story I always remember is the first time I tried to make dinner for my family. In the soup I made, I swapped out the water with milk and tipped the whole jar of salt in the pot.
That does not sound good.
While my family was sick from trying to eat it, I swiped their things and locked myself in my room. Rachel laughed elegantly. Kyle decided to move on. After reading his final question, Kyle looked up from his paper. Well, Rachel, he said, I think that's all I was planning on asking you. If that's the case, Kyle, may I ask you something in return? Asked Rachel, smiling one more time. Do you prepare for your interviews in advance? Because you seem very together.
Oh, we are very together.
Before Kyle could answer, the camera shut down. The broadcast was over. Kyle returned home knowing the interview had gone well. But as he lay in bed and drifted to sleep, he felt that perhaps something was still missing.
Interesting. Well, that is all I want to play.